Hi Sri, welcome to our knowledge series. Super glad to have you here.
Hey, hi Jibin. My pleasure being here with you.
Thanks a lot for being here. Maybe before we start, if you could give us a brief intro about yourself and Konotor and Roketlane, that'd be great.
Sure thing. So I'm currently doing a venture called Roketlane, which helps SaaS companies onboard their mid-market and enterprise customers in a faster and better streamlined way. Um, Prior to this, I did a startup between 2012 and 2015 called Konotor, uh, which many of you may have experienced as the chat interface inside many popular apps like Zomato, Fasos, Swiggy, Big Basket, etc. Right, and that was acquired by Freshworks back in 2015, where we continued the journey till end of 2019, building that business at Freshworks.
Awesome. Maybe if we go back a little bit and speak about yourself, where did you do your graduation? How did went about founding Conotor itself? That journey, working with Verizon and then eventually building Conotor. And my specific questions would be: how did you find your co-founders to start with, and how did you come up with the idea also?
Sure. I think it's a long journey thinking backwards. So I'm 2005 engineering pass out. I know my co-founders from 2001. So we went to college together. That's how I know Vignesh and Deepak are childhood buddies. They know each other from when they were in school. They stayed a few streets away from each other. So, and we've all known each other for close to 2 decades now, right? And um, after undergrad, I went to IIM Bangalore and took on product management roles in different companies like Verizon. Then I went to Meetup, and then I was heading product as a small startup called Jixi in Bombay. And that's really where I think I built my confidence that I can build something on my own. I think you sort of need to be delusional to think you can pull off a startup at some level. And I feel my delusion happened from the experience I had at Dixie, because we had this video app that we had put out, which had like tons of traction, right? It had like, I think, 6 million downloads in the first 6 months or something like that. And I had also pretty much worked hard on assembling a kick-ass team over there to work on the engineering and work on like every aspect of the company. And so I felt this confidence that, hey, you know what, if I can do it at Jixi, then I can do it on my own as well. At that time, Vignesh was working as a product manager at Zynga, and
Okay.
Deepak was working as a platform engineer at eBay. So
Okay.
we said, hey, we have like a good solid team which has like product people who have done a startup before, and one person who's like built really rock solid scalable backend systems before. Why don't we do something together? And in our minds it was easy to pull this off, easy to get traction for an app. So we said, hey, why not take on WhatsApp, right? For my last stint I was taking on YouTube. Now it's
Okay.
time to take on WhatsApp. And ended up trying that. We launched an app called Phone On, which
Okay.
was focused on a voice messaging experience. And we sort of uh, first did a private beta with friends. They all loved the experience. Then we took it to market in like Feb 2014, sorry, Feb 2013. And then we watched as things around us in the environment changed, right? Firstly, we had the likes of, so we launched in Feb. In March, we saw WeChat enter the market
Okay.
with Bollywood stars endorsing them. I think there was Parniti Chopra doing ads. We were like,
Right.
okay, this is something. The month after that, we saw Line come into the market, and this time it was Katrina Kaif, right, doing their ads. And in April or May, I think May, we saw WhatsApp launched their own voice messaging feature as well. And at that point, we felt, hey, you know what? Um, Maybe we should rethink. Maybe this voice messaging alone isn't going to help us win. And this is a space where we probably need deeper pockets to sort of go and do our customer acquisition. And we hadn't raised any money at all. We just wanted to bootstrap and build a product that has automatic pull. We got to some traction, right? We had like 10,000 active users a month or something like that, but it wasn't going viral either. And so the reality struck us. And what we also found is that there were people who were using our app to talk to us and give us feedback on what they wanted, right? And we felt, hey, you know what? This is a nifty little experience that maybe any startup will find useful in their app. So why not take this voice messaging experience and give it to other apps? That was sort of the genesis of Konotor. And from there, it evolved quickly, right? So we started taking it to people as a SDK, and we built like a experience where they can manage incoming conversations, respond to customers, etc. But the vision for it quickly evolved. What we started understanding is it's not about just listening to feedback, it's about engaging the audience. So we turned it into this whole experience where you can segment your customers who are using your app in different ways. You can run engagement campaigns of sorts to say, hey, you downloaded our app last week, but you haven't used it in a week. Can you tell us what you expected from it? Or you can send the offer to them saying, hey, you just started using our app. Here is an offer for you to buy your first Carti roll on us, right? In case of someone like Fasos. So it sort of became this inbox for your app. It was almost like a WhatsApp inside your app where it could be either the customer reaching out to you for support, for feedback, etc., or it could be the business reaching out to the customer saying, hey, here's an offer, or hey, this is what you need to do next to find value from my app, or whatever they want to communicate, right? So that's what it turned into. And we sort of managed to get quite a few interesting apps use our product through a lot of hustle.
I want to come to that hustle part a little bit later, but you brushed upon a little bit about the investment slash funding bit of it. Have you raised any funds in between, on how did you manage to bootstrap? Where did the money come from in the initial days?
So initial days was completely self-funded. It was just the three of us, and we were all back home, not paying rents to our parents. Pretty much, not spending much at all. In fact, Vignesh had just, I think, 2 months into the startup, he had his baby. So tough time, honestly, to be doing this bootstrapping. But we had decided that we'll give ourselves a year to see where things go. And I had borrowed money from a friend to sustain us for that period of time. Each of us had a little bit of saving that we tapped into. We didn't hire anyone because all of us started coding, right? Irrespective of whether we were MBAs and had been doing product management or whatever before, we said, hey, we like coding. Why not, build this product on our own? So the three of us were coding. Deepak did the heavy lifting, of course, but that's how we got the product out. And once we decided to pivot, then we felt, hey, we need to give it a little more time, right? Once we moved into this Konotor thing, it had already been probably 9, 10 months into the journey. So we said, let's give ourselves another, 6 months or so to see where this goes. And honestly, it was promising enough that we felt we will start making some money from customers soon, and we can stretch our personal finances. Uh, we had minimum burn, right? We weren't spending on much at all, so we could manage with just the three of us building. And I think February uh, 2014, that is close to 1.5 years into the journey, is when we got into this target accelerator program, which gave us, I think, our first money, right? So in terms of before customer money, we had some money from target through that accelerator program. And I think by November or so, we knew that that was, or December, we knew it was happening. So we weren't too worried about the financial situation, knowing that we can at least start drawing some sustenance if needed, and also think about what next in terms of hiring before you know starting to make real money from the business.
So coming back to the hustle part of it, how who was your first customer, first set of customers? How did you land them? I heard you speaking about that on the show as well, but I would love to hear how did you end up landing the first few set of customers, and how did the growth path took off from that?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting as a story for us. We had friends in the ecosystem, so to speak, right? So I had one friend doing a startup. So I sort of almost would bug him every day about, hey, why don't you include this in your app? And finally, when I was visiting Bangalore once, they were part of this Nascom warehouse in Diamond District, right? So I went to the warehouse, sat with the developer. So their CTO of sorts was building their app. So I sat with him and said, "Hey, why don't we try this out together?" And he was like this tech whiz anyway. So in 5 minutes, he sort of integrated the SDK, and I was like, "Yes, see, it can happen in 5 minutes." That was like real validation for me, and we skinned it a fair bit so that it looks and feels like the rest of their app. And the next day, it was on the Play Store inside their app. There's an app called Shopera, and the CTO, the founder, is now doing his second startup, Flatheads, the shoes, and the CTO is doing his own startup, Urban Piper, and it was a fun time really for us that we got those integrations done in that manner. I actually found, I think, three more people to use our SDK inside that startup warehouse. So those were the first ones. The first paying customers came from VC introductions actually. So we had Sequoia, a friend at Sequoia introduced us to Pasos. They became one of our first paying customers. There was an app called Laddu in Chennai, which we found through, like, someone had commented on a friend's Facebook wall. I commented, connected with him, got on a phone call, understood he was doing this venture, then sold them on the idea. So it was very often knocking doors, like striking conversations in different places. I think Go Ibibo was the product manager had basically liked or upvoted answer I had given on Quora about why do people uninstall apps, and whoever upvotes that answer, I would go and ping them one on one, right, and talk to them, and that's how I established that connection. Then yeah, many interesting stories there. But I think it also happened that once we got to some of these customers, right, one of them will grow a little. Like someone went to 5,000 users, then I would say, hey, you know what? We have an app with 5,000 active users already using our product, and pitch that to someone who has 10,000. The 10,000 example will be used for someone with 50,000. So we got Dexetra, which was 100,000 at that point in time. And once we got that, we went to Go IVBO and said 250K is not a big deal. We've done 100K before. So that's how it sort of catapulted. Then eventually Fasos had like millions of users. That helped us get to, others like, I think Kunal Shah from Freecharge introduced us to Sequoia, who put us in touch with like Abhi Khan, and that Sequoia put us in touch with Zomato. They became a customer. That was like huge validation, and that's how it sort of grew through Hustle.
Awesome. Just a quick note there. Did you you said Dexetra, right? The 100,000 customers. Okay. So a quick note there. Narayan was on our knowledge series last week, so he explained the
Wow.
journey of how Dexetra grew, which was also sort of amazing. So yeah, just wanted to make a note there since you mentioned Dexetra. So Sri, coming to the acquisition part of it, right, or the exit bit of it, how did that happen? With respect to where or when did the conversation happen? Was it sort of a partnership or it was an inbound request? How did that sort of played out the exit and the acquisition journey? You know?
Right. I think a lot of things happened to us because we were in the radar of people. So we used to meet a lot of people. We used to meet VCs, whether or not they're investing. We had raised no official capital, but we had money from Qualcomm and Axel through winning this thing called the Q Prize. So we had them as backers. They made some introductions for us. One thing led to the other, and we were just putting together our first proper angel round. And practically the term sheet was being shared to different parties. But at that time, again, a friend at Sequoia reached out saying, "Hey, one of our portfolio companies is pivoting into an adjacent space to what you guys are doing, and they'd be interested in talking to you about an acquisition." We initially sort of thought, "Hey, it's going to be like a small offer. We don't want to like even waste our time on it," sort of a thing. But they insisted that they were serious about this space. So we ended up talking, and there was an interesting offer on the table. But it so happens that one thing led to the other, and there was a conversation with one of the VCs who was already backing Freshworks, Freshdesk at that time, and they said, "Hey, why wouldn't you do this with Freshdesk?" And then Girish said, "Hey, I know you guys have another offer, and I know you may not feel good about playing one versus the other, but we are willing to do whatever the other company is doing. If this makes sense for you, let's do this together." At which point it was a no-brainer for us because we had known Girish in the past through we have this product nation sort of forum where we had met him a few times. We had engaged in the past, and we had respect for what Freshdesk had done in the Chennai ecosystem. So we thought, hey, you know what? They've already made it. It's a complete alignment in terms of what we're trying to do and the larger goals of Freshdesk. For the other company, it was like almost two different kinds of businesses that they were working on. So here it felt like a stronger fit. And this was a company that had pretty much made it already by then. So it became a no brainer for us to go ahead with that.
So got it. So at that point in time, what was your the youth? What was your traction? How did the traction look like at that point in time for you when the acquisition talks were going on, or you're about to exit? What? How did the numbers look like?
So we had one large enterprise customer who had been engaging with us, which was Target. Uh, uh, what we didn't know that would soon go away, due to a reorg over there. But we thought we had that. Then we had like quite a few popular Indian startups using us. So it was a pretty strong, I would say around 80 apps reaching more than 30 million end users, active users who were on our platform. And not all of them were paying. I think they were like 21, 22 paying customers, but we were in a good place, and uh, we were growing, right? I mean, most of it was India business, which was a little bit of a concern, but other than that, uh, it looked like a pretty promising picture.
Got it. Now, coming to the post-exit scenario, how has been the last few years for you, and how did the transition to Roketlane, coming to the Roketlane story as well? How has been the transition for you?
So our journey at Freshworks was pretty interesting, right? So I think right from the start, Girish gave us enough space to do things the way we wanted to, and even bringing us in, the pitch he made to us was, "Hey, we need someone entrepreneurial to run like a mobile first business over here, and that's why we're interested in you guys. It's not just about the tech that you bring, but it's also about the team and leadership." So in that sense, we were super kicked, and we could do things the way we wanted to. We weren't shackled by an org. We were allowed to flourish the way we wanted to. So we did that. For the first couple of years, we continued pursuing. We sort of rebranded as Hotline.io, launched a new product in conjunction with. There was another product at Freshworks called MobiHealth. We sort of put the two capabilities together and launched Hotline.io. Continued building for mobile first companies, right, as a support solution focused on them. But what we found was while this took off really well in India, Southeast Asia, it wasn't necessarily the biggest pull coming from Europe or US, right? So North America wasn't looking at adding in-app customer support experiences yet, and we wanted to chase momentum like the rest of the company, which had a very different inbound motion, right? And so in 2017 we decided that, actually 2016, and we decided 2017 we started a whole exercise where we would relaunch as Fresh Chat and include web chat as well, because that was like an area where we saw a lot of momentum, right? We looked at what competitors are growing, how fast, and it was clear that web chat was growing much, much faster than mobile chat. So we said, let's do web, relaunched as Fresh Chat. That became like one of the fastest growing product lines inside Freshworks, was beating all the records of other products in terms of fastest to various revenue milestones. Really exciting journey that way. And all that momentum we had over there, learning we had in Freshworks, made us think, you know what, we've had such a nice learning ground over here. We've done our own startup before. We have a team that I would think it's pretty rare to get the kind of combination we have that has known each other for so long, brings different skill sets to the table, and is happy to shout at each other one day and be, friends again the next. So we said, hey, if we don't do another one with all that we have learned over here, then we're wasting, what's been given to us. So that's where we thought, let's go out and do one more startup. And we also had come across enough business problems that teams face, right? And what sort of solutions can help in that journey. So we thought, hey, here is a problem where when we are onboarding larger customers, we seem to be doing things in a heroic manner, right? So it'll be like at the end of every successful large customer implementation, we'll be applauding the stunts that people pulled off to make it happen. And we thought, hey, why should it be about people pulling off stunts, right? Why can't it be more straightforward? Why can't it be streamlined as an effort where there are no surprises involved in getting a mid-market or enterprise project to the finish line? And we felt it's down to planning, and it's down to how the collaboration happens in the space. And that's where we thought solution which helps you streamline, helps you put in your best practices as like a playbook in a product, will help. And that's what we set about building.
Right. So where are you right now with Roketlane? When are you launching? Do you already have early customers, or how big is your team? How is it? How is that journey coming along?
We are 8 of us right now, and it's still very early days. I think half of the team joined within the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So very early days. And we have, I wouldn't call them customers yet because we don't have a product yet, but we have friends who are working closely with us in the hope that our product will come out sometime soon, right? And I think it's going to be a few months still, but things are shaping up well. Happy with where we are.
Awesome. So one other question that I had is: have you started angel investing? Where are you? Are you looking at investing in some of the startups? Have you put in money in some of the startups yet? And have you bought your Ferrari yet?
So um, I wouldn't call myself a prolific angel investor, but I have supported friends. That's more like it so far, right? I have invested in 4 companies, all run by people I've known from before. One of them was like junior from college. One of them was a customer for Konotor, like one of our first customers, Taxi for sure. The founder, the product from them started up, and part of those journeys more than anything else. So it's all small checks, and being helpful where I can, being a sounding board if you need me. That sort of a setup, and uh, yeah, but I feel maybe in the future I will look to do a few more, which aren't necessarily only from my network of friends.
Got it. Awesome. So before we come to the end of this session, I have two more questions for you. The first one is there any company that you wish you co-founded?
Wow. Well, I have this, I would say, um, for probably more than a decade now, I've been thinking about when will VR become more of a reality. So
Okay.
I do have some names in mind as to interesting companies I've seen in that space, which I would have been excited to be part of. But I'm just happy that those things are happening, and I hope that in the next 5 6 years we'll see some of those experiences become more real. I think in the COVID world, for instance, if we had VR as something that had become mainstream, uh, things would have been very different for all of us in terms of how we spend time together, etc. Even for an early stage startup, I think our experience of building a company together could have been much better if that vision had somehow accelerated and come into being now in terms of like having VR offices or VR places to hang out together, etc.
Got it. The second one is which is your favorite book?
Favorite book? Okay. Um, I have a few.
Okay.
I would say I loved Masters of Doom, which
Sorry.
is about Masters of Doom. It's about John Romero and John Carmack, how they build ID Soft. And it sort of puts me in this mode of thinking about how crazy things were in the old days where you didn't probably code looking up stuff on Stack Overflow, where people were you know so proficient in what they did that they were building like new game engines, putting like night outs for a few days in a row. It's very inspiring to me to think about how much you need to be in the zone to build stuff like that in such rapid time. So that's one book I enjoyed. Um, I recently read a few books that I enjoyed. One was Made to Stick,
Okay.
which is about how you essentially can convey your ideas better. How do you make your ideas stick, whether it's in an org or whether it's like for a country or in whatever context, right? For the masses, how do you position your ideas, like communicate your ideas in the right way?
Okay.
Um, I think one more that resonated well with me in recent days was a book called Leadership and Self Deception. It may feel like uh, sort of a self-help oriented book, but it's actually like a great book to understand how we work with others and what goes wrong in relationships, whether it's like work relationships or like outside work, right? And I almost feel it's like a must read for anyone who's in a leadership position. Actually, must read for anyone.
Awesome. So we'll make a shift to the next segment, which is a photo walk segment, where we have some of
Okay.
your, some of the photos from your journey. Maybe we can take a couple of seconds, a few minutes to go through that photos and share your memory behind that. That'd be great.
Sure.
So here is the first picture.
Okay. This is a snap that my co-founder Vignesh took the very first day we started working together. Incidentally, I'm sitting in exactly that same place right now, uh,
Yeah.
just facing a different direction, but it's that same spot in my house, and essentially upstairs of my house. That was our first office. Deepak started out with sitting here. The separate table you see is his, but then
Okay.
he moved it inside a room because he couldn't stand working with the two of us in the same room.
Okay. Did you enjoy loud music? Was that the reason or?
Well, we used to keep discussing stuff, and Deepak wanted to be in the zone. So I guess he said, "Hey, don't disturb me. I'm going to go in a room and finish off this next feature on my own while you guys are chatting and working slower."
Got it. Here is the next one.
Okay, this was the first time we moved into an office space. This was at PayPal.
Okay.
So we were part of like this incubator program that PayPal had, where they chose like a few startups every year who can access their office space. It was a great program. We had to give them nothing in return. We could just access and be part of their use their office spaces, their network, their like transportation facilities, etc.
Wow.
And just do like a monthly sync up with them. So it was great. We really had a good time there.
Right. Third one.
Like this is like tired me. Maybe one of I think this is the second month at Freshworks, and I had been sending like manual invoices to all our paying customers, printing them out, signing them, scanning them, and at the end of which I was like totally gone. So I think this was captured. Uh, I had just gotten a new phone for myself, one plus two, if I remember
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
someone took that phone from the box and captured this picture.
Okay. Here is the next one.
Okay, this is 2014, where we won this Q prize from Qualcomm and Axel, where we had gone to the US to participate in like their finals, which had like a $1 million prize money. What we had won was like the 125K in the India round. And I mean, thinking back, this was like these are people who are helping us along the journey. The guy on the right was my friend from college undergrad days who basically, so his name is Vijay, and he basically hosted me and Vignesh for a whole month without any
Okay.
complaints. Making food for us, taking us around everywhere we needed to go for meetings and all of that. And the other one is Ritesh, who was with us in the Target Accelerator program. And we both sort of made this journey to meet the Target execs in Minneapolis. So this was sort of captured over there.
Got it. And here's the next one.
Okay, this is again. I think we were the biggest freeloaders in this period when we were starting up, and our friends were nice enough to accommodate us wherever. So this is a friend called Srinath, who was product manager at Myntra, later like head of product at Swiggy, who essentially lived in Malleshwaram. I once stayed with him uh, for an event, and then took his house key, and then give it back. And after that, every time I visit Bangalore, I would just happily go and stay in his place, whether or not he wants me there. And we used to go to a Nilgiri store nearby and raid all the, lassi shakes that they had over there and bring it home. And this is just a picture of his fridge where we used to stock of stuff that we wanted. And we used to freeload on him all the time.
So here's the next one.
Okay. This was like my standard practice. Anyone I meet, I'm capturing like what are your most frequently used apps as a photo on my phone. This was someone in Canada. I don't remember who,
Hmm.
but you know you can see all those Canadian banking apps. So I was like, hey,
Rogers.
okay, you're using so many banking apps, yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let's pitch to all these apps. The idea was always see what are the most popular apps that these people are using, and then I would have sent out cold emails to people from all of these companies.
Awesome. And the next one.
Yeah, we this was again us winning this PayPal Start Tank incubation challenge. So through that, we got like 1 year of using their office space, as I said, and it was fun. It was like instead of hunting for spaces to rent for a few days, we pitched for 2 hours and got office space free for a year. So that was good.
And this is the next one.
Okay, these are just like other accolades we won along the way.
Yep.
There's a huge check that is missing here, which was the 125K from Q Price.
Q
But
prize.
then we, yeah, we had, you know, uh, been part of the finalists at different things like Microsoft BizSparks. We were part of like selected startups to present at Moby Sparks by Your Story. We were with you. You would remember at the DMZ. So that circular thing you see with Konotor, that was
Right.
something that we got from the folks at the Digital Media Zone uh,
Right.
by Riot Folks, right?
Right. On that note, here is the picture from our trip.
Oh yeah, that's you and me at a ice hockey stadium. So we thought we are going to Canada to pitch to a lot of companies and win new business, but it ended up semi being a little bit of a holiday as well. I think you know uh, watching a hockey game treated like a VIP from a box. That was an awesome experience. I'll never forget.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun.
This
That
is the next
those
one.
are the times you can't forget.
This
Oh
next
yeah,
one.
one is I think us at Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I switched
Again,
the
obviously,
one where you looked, better. So this is the one that I had.
thank you. But yeah, this is again, I think a fun day.
Yeah.
That Sunday we decided, I guess, that we'll go to Niagara Falls and come back, and it's okay not to be working on that one Sunday and so on. And of course, also us trying to do some of our ice skating. That was fun memories. I think we had a fun group of people we met. Uh,
Yeah.
Kudos to Max for making it a
Absolutely.
unforgettable experience for all of us. There's Pavan and Kunal as well.
Yeah. That is Nishan. I think that is Nishan, by the way.
Oh, that's Nishant. Oh yeah,
That's
yeah, that's
Nishan. Yeah.
Nishant. Right.
Yeah. And here is the next one.
This was like Chennai Filter Copy Mafia, which is like the name of our startup group in Chennai. The folks who are part of that happened. Some of them happened to be in the Bay Area at that time. So he said, "Hey, why not do a Chennai startups meetup in Bay Area?" This was again 2014. I think that's when like Freshworks was establishing their presence in the US in a stronger way with like proper offices and hiring like president over there and so on, right? And
Right.
it so happened that Girish was also there. We ended up meeting there. We didn't know that a year after that we would be acquired by Freshworks, but it was a fun day meeting other founders.
Here is the next one.
Okay, this was I think the first photo we took together uh, as a team, and this was actually taken in 2012 for the Your Story Moby Sparks folks. And we never took a photo of the three of us together again. So when after the acquisition, on the day when they were going to do the PR, they asked us for photos, and we were like, "Oops, we don't have any." And we had to dig back to this old photograph. I think Deepak wasn't in office that day; he was sick, so we couldn't take a photo on that day as well. So we had to make do with what we already had. And but yeah, I think that's the three of us from the previous journey. Again, from I think this is the balcony in my house.
Okay. And here is the last one.
Okay, this is like sort of more emotional memories for me because this was like the team we ended up building at Freshworks. Uh, this was, I think, during one of our big revenue milestones celebration at the Leela Palace or something like that, and really fun times, really high momentum growth journey, which brought automatic growth and happiness to everyone on the team, and that's
Right.
sort of what we aim to do again over here.
Awesome. So with that, we come to the end of our photo work segment, and we have our last segment, which is a rapid fire round. We have a few questions for you.
That's
So
scary.
very simple questions. So you can take 5-10 seconds to answer that. The first one is describe your startups in 2 words. I need for both Konotor and Roketlane.
2 words, not even an elevator pitch, man. Uh, Conator is mobile engagement.
Okay.
I mean, what sort of description do you want? Like what we do description or
Describe your startup. You can give any two words that you deem you know
okay?
fit.
Then I'm gonna say first one. Konotor was mobile first,
Okay.
and Roketlane is accelerated onboarding.
Awesome. The next one is, if you could trade lives with one entrepreneur for a day, who would it be and why?
Wow. I'm gonna say I think I'm gonna choose Microsoft.
Okay.
So I
Bill
mean,
Gates.
does it have to be present or in the past?
It could be anyone. If you could trade lives with any one person.
Maybe I'll go with Jeff Bezos. I just want to
Okay.
see what that machine feels like, right? I mean, like churning out success after success in various kinds of businesses. I just want to get a feel for what those interactions would be like
Got
for
it.
that founder in the current environment.
Awesome. So the next one was, what are you doing differently at Roketlane from Konotor?
Almost everything. We started with fundraise. We never raised money last time.
Okay.
Uh, we've hired people from day one. We didn't hire people till like 2.5 years the last time.
Right.
We are thinking about market size deeply this time. We didn't even care about it last time.
Okay.
We are focused on building something with momentum this time, and we don't care if others are doing it and if there already are larger players in the market. Versus last time, it was all about can we be special? Can we be the first? Can we be very different? So yes, we're going to be different again this time as well, but I think where we differentiate is going to vary, and I think yeah, it's a completely different game altogether. I think we are swinging for the fences this time, trying to build something really huge.
Okay.
Um, Last time we didn't know what was a good outcome. We didn't have benchmarks in our mind. We were lucky in getting the kind of outcome we got, but this time we sort of going for something.
Awesome. So the next one is, what do you think I'd be most surprised to find out about you?
Uh, I am pretty much proper stereotype person. I mean, whatever you expect about me will be true.
Okay.
So, so I have to deeply think about this one. But maybe my enthusiasm to play sport uh, is something that has come in the last couple of years, more so in the last year. So it's not something. I think when my friends from before hear about it, they probably laugh, saying, "What are you talking about? What sport are you gonna play?" But
Yeah.
whether I'm good at it or not, something I started doing.
Yeah, I didn't make that comment earlier, but in the picture in the ice hockey, the stadium, you didn't actually enter the the ice rig at that. I think you didn't actually enter the rig. Was my or you did and you went
No,
back.
no, I eventually did. I eventually did. I think
You
I had
okay?
one person worse than me. That was Pavan. So I'm gonna say
Okay, I'll send this to Pawan. Okay, cool. And what is your best memory associated with, you know, uh, there are three organizations, you can pick one and share your best memory.
okay. I would say my best memories right now are of uh, a lot of the fun we had together with our teams at Freshworks. Um, you know, we had a couple of really fun offsites together as a team. We had lots of moments to celebrate, and we used to have a lot of fun team meetings.
Right.
Some of them may have been boring, I acknowledge, but a lot of them were fun. And I think the bonding we had over there, and especially the last team meeting which we had before we left, where the folks sort of surprised us with like a video they made for us while we were, they knew that it was the last meeting for the three of us. Um, so that sort of stays with me.
Awesome. So with that, we come to the end of that segment. But I have one additional question to you, which I actually had wrote on. If Phonon went on to become a voice chat application and became super viral, who would have you chosen as a celebrity to endorse it? Because you were mentioning about WeChat and Line. Would have you picked to endorse Phonon?
MS Dhoni,
Okay. Cool.
the
So with that,
Chennai.
we sure. Yes, absolutely. With that, we come to the end of our rapid fire segment as well. And before we close, we have a small ask for you. If you could recommend one person that you would love to see a chat like this, or if you could recommend one founder, you know, if a founder with exit, nothing like it. And if you could give an intro, nothing like it again. But yeah,
Uh, if it's not necessary that they've had an exit yet, then I'm going to recommend Ashwini Ashunkan from Matt Street Ben.
okay, got it.
I think they've
Awesome.
built like an enterprise oriented company, SaaS company in the enterprise space from India primarily. Of course, they're going to have teams elsewhere, but uh, I'd be very interested to learn from her story.
Absolutely. Sri, it has been an absolute pleasure hosting you. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Cool. Thank you so much. It was fun talking with you.